Click and go live.
Okay. All right, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Breakfast by the Bay. This is season 2, brought to you by 11th Hour Racing. My name is Letty, and I'm going to be hosting today to teach everyone about one of our favorite animals in Narragansett Bay. But before we get going, I want to remind you to subscribe to our channel. It's pretty easy to do. All you have to do is click the link right beneath me, and you'll be subscribed no problem. And if you're watching from a school today, let us know where you're watching from. We love to know all about our viewers. Finally, if any of you have any questions during this segment, all you have to do is pop them in the comments section. We'll either answer them while the stream is going, or we'll go back later and answer them then. So, enough with all that. Let's get down to it and start talking about today's topic. Here on Rhode Island, we have some furry friends that come and visit us every winter. Harbor seals. So the first thing you should know about seals is that they're a type of marine mammal in the order Pinnipedia. This order consists of carnivorous, fin-footed, semi-aquatic seals and walruses. And there are about 33 of these pinnipeds in the entire world. Now, in this pinniped world, harbor seals are considered pretty scrawny. At their biggest, an adult male harbor seal, will weigh about 300 pounds. Now that sounds like a lot to us, but if you compare it to an adult male elephant seal, they weigh about 8,800 pounds. So that means you would need 30 male harbor seals to make one adult male elephant seal. That's pretty crazy. So, the next thing you should know is that harbor seals are not in Rhode Island year-round. Every winter, they migrate from the Maine and Canada area all the way down to Rhode Island because they're following their favorite food, a type of fish called herring. So from October all the way to April, these harbor seals can be spotted in Narragansett Bay. If you're on a boat and maybe want to spot a harbor seal, it's pretty easy. All you have to do is look for their shiny heads popping out of the water. But if for some reason you're not on a boat in the middle of winter, you can also spot them from shore. What you want to do is go to a coastal area and find some rocks out in the middle of the water. Harbor seals like to rest on these rocks when they're done hunting, so that would be the best way to view them. Now, if you're wondering what a harbor seal actually looks like, I can help you out with that. So maybe you can actually spot one in the wild. I just so happen to have this life-size harbor seal model so that we can learn all about harbor seals today. This is my friend Celia, and she's going to help us learn all about her adaptations. So are you ready? Awesome. All right, so the first thing that you might notice about Celia is her body shape. So her body shape is round in the center, and then it tapers off in the ends. We call this shape fusiform. So you can think of like a lemon or a football when you're thinking about a seal shape. So this shape is very streamlined, and it helps Celia glide through the water. But the body shape isn't enough for survival. Celia also has 2 pairs of flippers, one in the front, some in the back too. So first we'll look at her foreflipper, or the ones in the front. On each foreflipper, there are actually 5 digits, just like I have. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But they're webbed together. This helps Celia balance and turn in the water. So if you look at Celia and the way she would be swimming in the water, you can see that an airplane actually kind of mimics the shape of a seal. Pretty cool. So then we also have her hind flippers. These are her second pair of flippers, and they're also webbed. When Celia spreads her tail, it's going to look like a fan, just like this. So seals will move these hind flippers back and forth, side to side, to propel themselves through the water. Perfect. All right, and since we know that Celia is a mammal, we know that she has fur, and you can see that pretty well all over her body. Now, you might think that this fur helps keep her warm, but it actually just helps her stay dry. Seals have a special gland in their skin that secretes oil and makes their fur waterproof. So water is repelled from their skin in order to keep their skin nice and dry, or repelled from their skin so they can stay nice and dry. Now, seals actually have another adaptation that helps keep them warm, but we're going to talk about that a little bit later. So moving on, of course, we have Celia's head. So taking a look at her head, the first thing that you're going to see is her big puppy dog eyes. So Celia can see better than humans when she's underwater, but when she's on land, she actually can't see that well. So then the next thing we can see is her nose right here. So her nose is heart-shaped, and she's actually able to open and close her nostrils at her own discretion. So if you tried to close your nostrils without your hands, would you be able to do that? Maybe practice a little bit while we move on to Celia's ears. So actually, looking at Celia's head, do you see any ears? I definitely don't. And that's because seals have something called ear holes, which they can actually close when they go diving. And before you ask, yes, seals actually do have very good hearing. So seals also have their own kind of superpower. These whiskers that you see on Celia's face are actually called vibrissae. So these are modified hairs that are packed with nerves. So these vibrissae give Celia a sort of spidey sense. These nerves on the vibrissae relay information to her brain about direction, velocity, and her physical environment. And this comes in handy when seals are hunting or trying to avoid predators. So because of these vibrissae, seals can even hunt while they're blindfolded and have noise-canceling headphones. And we actually know this because scientists have tested it before. They tested seals hunting while they were blindfolded, wearing noise-canceling headphones. Isn't that the silliest thing you've ever heard? So that's everything I wanted to show you on Celia's face, on the outside of Celia. So are you ready to open her up and maybe learn about her internal adaptations? I certainly am. Let's go for it. So, as a reminder, we know that Celia is a mammal, just like you and me. So if that's the case, then Celia's inside should look pretty similar to ours. The key difference between us and seals lies in the fact that seals live in the water and are excellent divers. So their adaptations are going to reflect their ability to live in the water successfully. So let's see what's inside Celia. Let's see here. Now, one of the first things I see when I open up Celia is her lungs. Wow, look at those. All right, so Celia's lungs are pretty big, if you ask me. If I hold them up, you can see them just like that, and they're actually much larger than human lungs. If you want to know how large your lungs are, all you have to do is find your collarbone right here and find the bottom of your rib cage. That hard area right there is protecting your lungs, so that's roughly the size of your lungs in your body. So seals have very large lungs compared to humans, and this goes back to the fact that seals live in water and humans live on land. So humans have constant access to oxygen living on land, whereas seals spend a good amount of their life underwater. So seals cannot breathe underwater, and so their lungs are going to be slightly different to help them survive. The first thing that you should know about seals is that before they dive, they actually exhale. And that's pretty strange to me, because when I go underwater, I take a deep breath so that when I go under, I'll feel okay. But why would a seal want to release air when they go underwater? Well, a seal wants to dive pretty deep when they go in the water. That's where they go hunting, and where they're just kind of playing around. So they don't want to keep their lungs inflated with air because they would be too buoyant. So to illustrate this point, maybe you want to think of a basketball. And think about trying to push a basketball underwater. You can push as much as you want, but that ball is full of air, and it's just going to keep popping back up. The only way to make the basketball sink is to release all of the air from the ball. And that's exactly why a seal needs to deflate their lungs before they dive. So when a seal does inhale, they have to make it count. They'll breathe in, and the oxygen goes into their blood to be pumped around their body. A lot of this oxygen is then stored in the muscles of a seal. It's kind of like they're savoring all of that oxygen for later when they go diving. And then the other oxygen is saved for their vital organs. So that actually brings us to Celia's heart, right there. So looking at this heart, I would call it quite sizable compared to humans. If you want to know roughly how big your heart is, you can make a fist. Now, if I did that, my heart is about this size. And if I compare it to Celia's, you can see that my heart is pretty tiny compared to hers. But our hearts do have very similar functions. If you put your hand on your heart, you might be able to feel it going bum bum, bum bum. So that's your heart pumping blood around your body. Celia's heart is doing the same thing in her body. Her heart pumps blood, and that blood carries oxygen throughout her body. Now, how is she able to survive if she's diving and not taking in any more oxygen? Our bodies need oxygen. Well, of course, Celia has a special adaptation for that. Normally, in 1 minute, a seal's heart will beat about 75 times. But when Celia dives, her heart slows way down. I'm talking about her heart beating only once every 10 seconds. That's only 6 beats per minute. So let me demonstrate how slow that is, just so you can get an idea. That would be bum bum, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, bum bum. That is pretty slow. Now this is amazing because all that oxygen in the blood is now being slowly pushed around her body. Harbor seals are able to savor that oxygen for a long period of time. This is why they're such excellent divers and hunters. Pretty cool. So next, I do want to talk about, here we go, Celia's stomach. Pretty weird looking, right? Well, before we dive into there and see what Celia's been eating, when you saw Celia's face, you might remember seeing some big, sharp teeth. So if Celia has sharp teeth, what kind of food do you think that she's eating? Well, if you guessed meat, you would be exactly right. Celia's sharp teeth help her grab food and swallow it whole. So when we look inside her stomach, we might find, let's see, ooh, a whole squid. Interesting. Maybe some fish in here. Okay, so she's eating a few fish. We even found a crab claw. She definitely likes to eat her own crustaceans sometimes. And even more fish. Looks like she has a pretty fish-heavy diet. Now, that's a lot of stuff in Celia's stomach. Celia has quite the appetite. And you know what? That actually doesn't surprise me. Seals need to eat about 5% of their body weight every single day. So, if you're an adult harbor seal, like Celia here, maybe you'd weigh about 200 pounds. That means that you'd have to consume about 10 pounds of food per day. No wonder Celia's stomach is so full. Now, there's one other thing that I wanted to talk to you about that is inside Celia, and that is her layer of blubber. So as I mentioned before about seals' fur, that actually does not keep them warm. It's this thick layer of blubber that is keeping Celia warm in those cool temperatures. So this reduces heat loss, and so Celia, this reduces heat loss. So Celia, living in very cold water, is able to use 6 inches of blubber to insulate herself between the cold water and the rest of her vital organs that we just talked about. And blubber is also used as an energy reserve. So sometimes a seal might be fasting, maybe it's on a long migration trip, or maybe it's a mother that just gave birth to a pup, or food is scarce. So they can actually use this blubber as a kind of food resource or energy reserve so that they can survive without food, which is pretty cool. Now, I'm actually going to close Celia up and wrap this lesson on adaptations up. That's all the information I have for you, and I sincerely hope that you enjoyed meeting Celia today and learning about all of her adaptations. And if you're interested in going on an adventure to go see some harbor seals, Save the Bay actually does offer seal tours all through the winter. Starting in December, seal tours go out almost every single weekend from Newport. And then you can learn more about seals by clicking on the link right down in the description of this video so that you can learn a bit about seals and then also try and book one of those tours. So until next time, have an amazing day. And we'll see you next week to talk about charts and maps with Captain Eric and Captain Jen. Thanks. Bye.